Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Miss Candace. We have a lot of fun things that we're going to cook today. We're going to go over some kitchen safety rules and the proper way to wash our hands and wash our fruits and vegetables before we start. Okay, well let's get started. All right, first things first, we need to wash our hands. We should always wash our hands before we start prepping any meal or cook anything, all right? So we're going to turn on our water. Make sure it's as hot as we can stand, not too hot where you burn yourself. Okay, I like to start off with just a little pre-rinse. Then we're gonna add our soap. All right, everybody, we're going to scrub and scrub and scrub. We're gonna get the back of our hands. We're gonna go around. We're gonna make sure to get our thumbs. You have to make sure we're getting our nails. If you wanna go in between, that's fine. Let's lace those fingers and get our wrists. Now when washing our hands, it should take about 20 seconds. You can try singing Happy Birthday to make sure that you're washing your hands for the correct amount of time. Now, time to rinse them off. Now it's important to wash our hands. What the soap is doing, it's capturing any dirt, bacteria, or anything that we might not want on our hands. And we're scrubbing it up, making sure that we cover every inch of our hands, and the water is actually washing away the bacteria. Now when we're done, we're going to want to dry our hands, and then we'll get started on the first thing that we're cooking. So our menu for today is going to be homemade tortilla chips and salsa. It's a nice healthy snack, especially because we're going to use fresh ingredients. So let's get started on what we need first. First on our list, we're going to need a nice clean workspace. Second on our list, we're going to need something to chop our fruit and vegetables on. All right, now third on our list, we are going to need our vegetables. Let's start out with an onion and a tomato. We're going to need some garlic. We're going to need some salt and maybe some hot sauce. All right, now that we're all set with our ingredients, we're gonna need to know what kind of utensils or cooking gadgets we're gonna need. All right, our first utensil, we're gonna need a knife. Perfect. Okay, remember, we gotta be very careful with our knives. They're pretty sharp. And we're going to need a blender or a food processor, whatever you have. Awesome. All right. I got my blender ready. So now that we have all of our ingredients ready, we're ready to begin. We're going to start off with washing our tomato and cutting it up. All right, you guys, time to wash our tomato. Okay, start off, a little bit of running water. Make sure to thoroughly rinse it. You guys can soap it up if you guys make you feel comfortable with that. Or just a nice hot rinse of water. All right, you guys, now it's time to chop up our clean tomato with our clean hands and our clean knife. Now, if you don't feel comfortable handling a knife, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with that. So, I first like to start by chopping my tomato in half. Next, I'm going to go in and just try to remove this little top part, because it tends to be a little hard, and I hate being the one to catch that in my mouth. All right, perfect. Next, we're gonna go and cut our tomato in strips. Make sure that we are not putting our finger in the way of the knife. And when it begins to be a little too difficult to hold on, we'll just flip that side down and start over on here. Perfect. All right, and then I'm just gonna give one big chop to the things that I already sliced. We're going to be putting it in a blender or food processor, so it doesn't really need to be chopped that neatly or in cubes or anything. We're just giving it a nice rough cut. All right, perfect. Next, we're starting with my onion. Now, we don't need to wash the onion because it comes in its own little protective paper, but we do not want to eat that paper. So I start off by cutting one end. Then I'm going to cut off the other end very carefully. Now, I'm going to take it and start peeling the outside layer, making sure that I don't forget any, because it's not fun to have that onion paper in your mouth when you're trying to enjoy your salsa. We can just take our onion paper, go ahead and throw that away. We're going to start cutting it in half. And we don't need to cut this up really fine. It's going to go into a blender. We're going to let that do the work. So I think we only need about half an onion. This is a very large onion. Go ahead and just make rough cuts. Now, sometimes when you cut onion, you tend to cry, and that's okay. You can take a break. Or you can put the onion in the freezer. It'll help freeze up the juices, and that will reduce the fumes. Now we're just going to take this onion. We're going to go ahead and throw it in the bowl and move on to our next step, which is going to be putting it in a blender. All right, you guys, we're finally at our blending part. We're going to go ahead and just empty our onions and tomatoes. We're going to go ahead and bring back our garlic. I have minced garlic. I'm just going to add about a spoonful. Not too much. This is salsa, not tomato sauce. Cover that up. Now, I like my salsa to have a little kick in it, so I'm going to go ahead and just put a few squirts of my favorite salsa in there. I'm using green sauce. And last but not least, a little bit of salt. And we're ready to blend. All right, you guys, now we're going to be blending our salsa. We don't want to hold it down because we're not trying to make a smoothie. What we're going to be doing is making short, little, quick movements called pulsing until it's all nice and mixed together and a little chop. All right. Now be very careful. I like to just mix it all in there. Make sure that one part of my salsa isn't getting more mixed than the other. And feel free to add cilantro or some other things that you think might be nice in your salsa. I think maybe just 2 more pulses and we're going to be set with that. All right, you guys, we're looking good. Beautiful. Our salsa is done and looking good. But what do we need to eat with salsa? That's right, tortilla chips. So that's what we're going to be working on next. All right, next up on our list of ingredients and utensils that we're going to need a cutting board, and we're going to need tortillas. Awesome. Next, we're going to need some cooking spray. Perfect. And salt. Awesome. All right. What about our utensils now? We're going to need a microwavable safe plate. Awesome. And a clean knife. Perfect. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Okay, I'm going to start off with 2 tortillas. I'm going to start by folding them in half and cutting them up. Now, we're going to want to start by cutting it in half first. Make sure we get all the way to the bottom. Then we're going to make another half. And it depends on how big you like your chips. These are a little too big for me. So I'm going to go and then cut this in half. And I have my perfect size tortilla chips. But you know what? They're still wavy. And I'm going to show you how to crisp them up. Okay, next we're going to take our microwave safe plate. We're going to start spreading the chips out, making sure that they're not touching each other. I would say that's looking good. Awesome. Next we're going to take our cooking spray and just give a nice quick little spray. You are going to get your counter a little dirty if you do it like me, but hey, we can always clean things up, right? Next, we're going to take a little bit of salt, and we're just going to sprinkle them all over the tortilla chips. If you don't like adding salt to your tortilla chips, you don't need to. This is just my preference. You guys, I forgot to tell you the most important utensil you're going to need, a microwave. So, once we have our tortilla chips started, we're going to need a microwave. We're going to go ahead and open this up and place our bowl of tortilla chips in there and go ahead and shut it. We're going to set it for about a minute. That's 60 seconds. And we're going to wait for them to finish. Okay, you guys, I went ahead and took out the plate from my microwave. Now the plate's going to be very hot, so be careful. You know, you can always use oven mitts. So now we're going to take our tortilla chips and we're going to flip them over. Making sure that they're not touching each other. Perfect. Now we're going to give just another nice little spritz of oil. And back in the microwave they go for another 60 seconds. Alright, you guys, my chips are done and mine are crispy. Now, if yours aren't crispy, you can go ahead and just flip them again and put them in the microwave for another 30 to 60 seconds. Alright, you guys, and that is it. We have our homemade tortilla chips and homemade salsa. Don't forget to drink your water. Enjoy your snacking, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Stay healthy.